Marlon Wayans' comedy special Good Grief is on Prime Video. And Marlon, you wrote a comedy special to discuss the death of your parents, as Marlon Wayans would. So, what did this special mean to you?
In hindsight, it was a lot. It was a cathartic experience. It was healing. It was everything I needed. And there was so many other people that kind of needed to hear it. I was just trying to heal. I was just trying to express myself because losing my mother broke me into 1,000 pieces. And this is the mind of a comedian. As soon as something happens that hurts, you go, okay, I don't want to deal with this. What's funny about it? And so I had like 45 minutes of a great set about my mom. And then my dad died. And I was like, damn, that's God. Because now I got the extra 28 minutes that I need to finish this special. Divine timing. But throughout the course of it, there was times I'd be uh, performing this in front of crowds and it would hit me. And I would cry and I'd work to get through it. Sometimes it would be after the show. I'd just go in my dressing room and I would just cry. And what I've come to terms with after I dropped the special was I think I was holding on to something. And once I released the special into the universe, I cry a lot less. I know my parents are with me. I know that they're proud of what I'm doing. And only time I cry now is when I go visit them at their gravesite and talk to them. And even then, it's not for a long moments that I cry. I've cried because I miss them, but I just let them know how things going and baby boy's doing all right. To me, a comedian doesn't get funny until you have some real trauma to talk about. That's personal. My favorite comedians have been through like devastation and they find humor. Richard Pryor is not just probably my favorite comedian because he, you know, uh, he was just physical and animated and voices and he was just funny. No, I love that he had a heart attack and he was like, you know what's funny about this heart attack? You know what's funny about me almost dying? You know what's funny about me getting really high and shooting my car? He talked about truth, and some of it was devastating. You know what's funny about your mother being a prostitute and your dad being her pimp? When you talk about truth and you talk about life and you talk about dark things and you bring light to me, that's when you're really growing as a comedian.
And you say in the special, learn to laugh in your worst moment, and you will smile the rest of your days. That stuck with me, and I mean, that sort of describes your family and your mom, right?
I still do it. I still do it. That tradition, like I could do 10 specials based on the things I've been through. And those specials will be hilarious because when I'm in dark times, I look for laughter because it rescues me from the depression. Those smiles. It's like I shouldn't be laughing about this. It's funny. You hang around people who have dead parents and they joke about them, but your parents are still alive. You're like, oh, you can't say that. Oh no, you can't yet. But was your dad sick? Give him 2 years. You'll understand the power of this joke. We have dark sense of humor because we know that we've dealt with tragedy and severe tragedy, and this lifts us out of the depression.
You're not afraid to still get emotional on stage, though. Like it's not
No.
100% funny. I mean, there are moments where you kind of, I mean, the tears well up too. So you have to let that side of yourself out on stage as well, even during a comedy special.
I spent 57 minutes. If you watch the special, there was several times in that special I wanted to break down. I spent 57 minutes running from that feeling. And then at minute 57, something hit me. And it was just the reality like, this is the last time I'll be talking about my mother and my father on stage, and they're really gone. And it just hit me. And I just started crying because it was what I felt. And the audience clapped and, we love your mom. I know. And they got me through. And I was going to cut that out. Me and my producers were talking about cutting it out. I was like, no, I want to leave that in because for me, that lets people know that it is okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. It is okay to have these moments, even though you have this quote unquote great life and all these laughs and you're running from it, but it's okay to deal with it. And then it's okay to drag yourself out of it because life goes on, like the stand-up set. Life goes on. And, by minute 59, I had wiped those tears. and we finished up at 107.
And you get in graphic detail, changing diapers, old man balls, what everything looks like and smells like. Was there a moment you were ever like, this is too far, or did
No,
you leave anything out?
I'm never too far. You talking about the guy, one of the writers of a scary movie, Don't Be a Menace. White chicks, like, that's our humor. Wayne's humor is we go there. I may go a little further because I'm the baby. So I'm a lot less sensitive than my older siblings are. And I'm closer to my parents. Me and my parents, we was like friends. So there's nothing I said in the special that I wouldn't have said to my parents while they were still alive. And they would just go, "Boy, you crazy." That's what my mother would say. But um, that's just my sense of humor. I think it's okay to, there's no, that's what society is missing. We've gotten too full. We've gotten too sensitive. Like we can't talk about real things. We can't laugh about stuff no more. We're too highbrow to laugh at something silly and somewhat graphic. It's okay to laugh. You're gonna need to laugh. Find a way to laugh. Social media has killed and made comedy such a toxic place because nobody really understands comedy except for comedians and storytellers that like comedians. We understand comedy. We understand that you guys are being tricked by social media, and the media is telling you that you're in a sensitive time. But when I go to these comedy clubs and I'm sitting on a stage every weekend, like this weekend I have 8 shows in Pittsburgh, and I'm saying all kinds of crazy shit. And the audience is laughing. Why? Because they still love comedy. And whatever messages are being sent out there, those are wrong messages. Those are bots from other countries that hate that we can all laugh and have our differences and laugh at each other. And they're jealous and they're trying to break that down. So don't let anybody take away your freedom of speech and your joy in life.
You talk about as well how your relationship was different than the rest of your siblings. If your older brothers don't find naked dad as funny as you did
No.
on his pants. But what was striking about that is then you then say, you need to be your parents' friend. You have these lessons that like people can take away from this. And why was that so important to you to be their friend? Because I think that a lot of people miss that in life.
I think that's when you get your parents out of the mask of being parents. And because they're always supposed to be our hero. We're supposed to view them as perfect. But when you're their friends, you see them as flawed and you see their vulnerability. And then you really start getting to know, Howell and Elvira, not mom and dad. And I wanted that for my brothers. I wanted my brothers and my sisters to understand that no, 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 the guys that you think you don't know. They were acting. I'm telling you, mom and pop is not like that. You misinterpreted them. I think you should have a real talk with them. And so I didn't distance myself. I allowed myself to get closer and closer and closer to my parents to the point to where, they would tell me, secrets and dark things that a kid should or their son maybe shouldn't know. But we felt comfortable with each other, and I squeezed everything out the old lemons I could, and I carry them with me everywhere I go, and I feel them. I feel they're on the other side since they're passing. I've been on such a mission. My work ethic has been crazy. It's like insane. Like I work 7 days a week. I, I'm doing multiple shows. I know not just my next special that I'm working on, which is getting a lot of standing ovations, but I know the next 2 specials I want to do after that. And then I got him and scary movie. And I know my parents did as much as they could for me in the physical form. And when they passed, they didn't leave me. They went to the other side to help lift me in ways they could not hear. Because here, you would view them as somewhat of a burden because it was so much of me having to take care. And they was like, no, no, no. Let me help you. Let me transition. And they went to the other side and I was, you ready? I feel like my best years are ahead of me, my best performances. Everything I've done the first 35 years of my career, I was learning. Now it's about execution, I think. And most artists get time to develop before they make it. I made it straight out the gate, but I knew there was going to come a time where I was thirsty for more. I wanted to grow. I want to be a great. I don't want to just be a flash in the night. No, I want to be a star. I want to be a nova. I want to be a galaxy. I want to be the sun in my own way. As big of a star as I can be, that's what I'm going to work myself to be. And it takes the work. And so my dedication and everything that I've been doing, now I logged 10,000 hours in like six different disciplines within my craft. The more you grow, the better you get. And I'm looking forward to see what I'm becoming.
How much do you have to work this material that before you actually record a special? Because we see this nice finished product, but a lot goes into that. I mean, how much preparation does it take before you get to the point of recording the actual special?
I'm different for most comedians, and I'm not trying to say I'm better. I'm different because I've been acting since I was 4. I've been writing since I was 17. I've been producing since I was 19. So I know how to do all these things. And as an actor, I can remember lines. So a lot of times comedians have to rehearse it over and over again because they have to write it. They have to look back and they have to think about, why does that work? Is there a laugh there? They have to go home and, oh damn, I forgot to say this part. It's a learn. You're teaching yourself the things that you wrote. You have to teach yourself how to remember those things before you even perform those things, before you even structure those things. I have this innate ability that my last 3 specials, I didn't write them down.
Wow.
I just went on stage and I was like, when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, I was like, oh, there's a special in here. And I went on stage and I went, I was in Oxnard. I spent every night, I would spend 10 minutes talking about it. Then the next night, 15. Then the next night, 17. By the end of the weekend, I had 20 minutes of material. And I was like, oh, there's something in here. And then I really had 5 minutes of material. So then every week I just started adding stuff. I wasn't writing anything down. Same thing with Good Grief. And in a matter of 4 months, I had written and I had a structured, polished set that in 4 months, that from writing it, which was March 27th, 2022, writing it to filming a special. I filmed my special, I think it was August 17th, 2022. So in 4 months, I had written and rehearsed and was ready to do a special. My parents' special, that one took me some time because I had to put it on hold. Part of it was, and it was God, was I had this funny stuff about my mom, but it needed more. And then Will slapped Chris, and I was like, oh, wow, wait, Ma, I'll be right back. And then there was more jokes. And then my dad died, and I was like, oh, man, that's sad. But wait, I got this extra material that from him that I can add to this. It's like, oh, there goes that special. But even rehearsing that, once I got it up and running, I could, and I like to say I want to do a special every year because I get tired of touring the same material. I don't want to be one of those guys that's sitting on jokes. I want to be one of those guys that goes, yo, this is the best that I could do with this. If I take 20 years to do a special, it better be great. But if I could start doing great quicker without losing the quality, then for me as an artist, I feel good. I want to do new paintings, not keep coming to an old painting. Let me touch that here. Oh, touch it there. I'm gonna sleep on this. Come wake up in the morning, etch that out. And it takes me 20 years to do that. I have too much to say, and I like to perform. I like feeling scared. The scariest thing to do is to go on stage, and it's not a stage, it's a blank canvas. And all you got is a bunch of paint. And you have no idea what you're gonna paint in front of that audience that paid to see you. It's crazy.
Do you
It's
get
like
nervous?
jumping when that's when I don't get nervous now. I know what the jokes are. Put me in front of any room. I know if I know my set, I'm not nervous. I know what the jokes are. I know how to take you. I know how to make you laugh. I know how to boom. I know what I can feel when to end. It's when you don't have any. You loaded unloaded the clip. There's nothing left in the gun. And now, go ahead, go be funny. That's when you get scared. And for me, in that synapse, that is when you live as an artist. Art, I like to create. I like that. So I do this thing where, and this is part of my religion, right? In terms of my process, I'll film a special. Let's say I film a special August. My next special I want to film like August 23rd. August 30th, I am on a stage working a brand new hour. I'm not waiting for me to edit that special together and doing that material. No, I have to retire that material. It's dead to me. And I'm only lives in the editing room. I will never say those jokes again. It's not like a comedy. It's not like a music album or a song where you go, oh, I want to hear the hits. No, comedy. They don't want to hear the hits. I want to hear the new. Give me the new stuff. The next week, I go on and I work my next hour, and I don't look back, and it's sink or swim. And I know it's going to be a struggle for maybe the first month. It will be a struggle. It's not going to be as many impactful laughs until I have this set. Sometimes that takes 2 months. But I don't want to work 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, or 15 minutes here in town in Los Angeles. No, I want to work in front of a paid audience, so I am responsible and I'm fearless, and I'm taking them to places that unexpected, because I'm taking myself to places that's unexpected, and I'm not piecing out 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there and rehearsing. I don't need to rehearse. And once I do a joke, if it's funny, I'll remember it. It just sticks in my head. And then I go, where do I place that joke? After I got everything, then I go, okay, how do I place all this in the story? It's just over time, I've developed into something, I don't know. It's part crazy. It's like it's like a scary place, because it's just like I know my process, and I don't know if that's everybody's process, but I think that's when your process becomes like special, when it's yours. I acting. I took all these lessons, Meisner, Stanislavski. I've done so much different acting since I was 4 years old. Went to performing arts high school. Watch all these movies. Watch Tom Cruise. Watch Denzel. Watch Tom Hanks. Watch Eddie Murphy. Only to find that, hey, I love what all these guys do. Robin Williams, I love his range, but I want to do me.
Yeah.
And I can apply some of the things that you guys do, those are isms or whatever, to what I do. And sometimes it's your process, or something little, it's the intensity into the camera, or how you manipulate the motions that land when the camera lands. And Tom Hanks is beautiful, wonderful at that. But you create your own process. And I think that's when the special starts happening to you, because there's a confidence that comes with that, right? Because you've done the work. It's all about doing the work. You log your 10,000 hours, and even after then, you still keep logging hours. If you love it, keep logging hours. I just log these hours, and who knows what I'm gonna be? Who knows what happens? I just throw these punches, and I don't wait for the knockout to be like, yeah. I throw punches, and if I knock you out, I'm still throwing punches. Like, when is he getting up? I'm staying warm. When's he getting up? I just, I just have this thing. I've always had it since I was a kid, and I'm staying true to me.
And you got to let some of that dramatic side out again in Bel Air. You return for a guest spot in a couple episodes. What's it like playing Will's dad and showing? I mean, coincidentally, he's talking about the loss of his parents and how he ended up in the situation that he did. And how Will ended up in the situation he did. So, what was that like being on that set with that character?
Foreign. I don't know that man. I don't that's foreign in my family. My father raised men that are there for their children, and no matter what, stay in their lives, and protect them, and and be an example, right? So it was foreign to me. But what I got to do was to really look at the character in an honest way and go, what's the other side of that? Why do a lot of men, why are they not in their children's life? And where's the disconnect? I know that person has to be hurting. There has to be, nobody's that callous. They're like, my kid, I don't want to be in their life. What's the other side? What's his story? What is hurting him? And now you have a human, not a monster. And then you bring that to his son, and they have this. these confrontations because he's sitting there going, I'm just human. I wanted to be in your life. You don't know the whole story. And that's a lot of kids, especially a lot of black kids. They don't know the whole story. They're a product of their mom and dad not having the tools to communicate because they're young and or whatever. And then in our community, we don't have enough therapy and we don't know how to communicate with each other. And so in creating Lou, I was like, I had to use vulnerability because I wanted him not to be a monster. I wanted you to see the little boy inside that monster was hurting him. And that is what I get to access the pulp of all that I don't deal with when things hurt me. Whenever something hurt me, I go, as a comedian, what's funny about this? And then there's this, and I extract all the funny juice out of it. But there's this pulp that you're left with. And you kind of just, just gonna lock that away somewhere in one of my chambers. And then when you do a drama, you get to go, hey, you know that little pulp that we locked away? I'm gonna get that out of there and I'm gonna deal with some of this. And then when you get to cry and you get to hurt and you get to release and you get to express and you get to feel, it's freeing. And it's freeing for me as an artist, but really freeing for me as a person that Marlon, finally gets to feel through Lou or through my character in him, which is this Jordan Peele movie I got coming out. So I get to access all of that fruit that is life. And I like to take people that you hate and make them lovable.
And before I let you go, I want to ask one question because you're in a documentary that's one of my favorites this year. Number one on the call sheet. What was it
Oh
like
yeah.
to be part of that? And what do you think about that? What do you think about the finished product? Because it's such great stories of Hollywood. I mean, everyone's gonna love this, but what did you think about it?
I think it's a wonderful film for people that, especially young up and coming uh, artists, right, and actors, and it's just what it is to be number one. What does it mean to you? Some people, you know, it's not what it seems, right? Like when I walk on a set, I care about the 150 people that are below my name. I want to make every last single one of those people feel seen, feel heard, and let them know that they're contributing to this thing that we are putting together and that I'm not bigger than anybody. We're all necessary parts of this engine, of this machine. I need every last single one of y'all ideas. I want everybody to, to have fun. I want to know everybody's name. I think a lot of times, you see number one, you like, yeah, I'm that dude. No, I look at myself when I say number one, I'm number 151. I'm the last person on the call sheet, but I'm the first one to work. I'm the last one. I try to be the last one to leave. I just try to be an example because when I leave a set, I'm going home to work. And if I'm writing a movie and producing a movie, I'm going home to look at the next day's work and go, all right, how do we make this funnier? Is this working? So before I get set, that I'm prepared for what problems may surface. And then if I'm acting in it, I'm acting at home with my coach. We're working 3, 4 hours before I rest my head to go to bed. And then I wake up in the morning and he meets me and we in the car and we're working before I get to set. So by the time I get to set, I'm not there learning lines. No, I'm there prepared, ready for the director to just give me cliff notes. You don't have to give me I did all the work. I know the stories. I did all the research. So you can just touch me or move me there, move me there. And I think a lot of directors are grateful for that. And that's just being an example. Your work is the example. And you want everybody to have that same spirit on a set. And that's when you usually have success. And the joy. People forget the joy. We are making make-believe believable. How effing cool is our job that I could feed my family doing something I love. Every time I do a stand-up set, I can't believe I got paid for that.